What up, everyone? Shaq here for EDM.com, and you know who this is. They are stone cold like Medusa, yet sweet as honey, staying hydrated and taking over the EDM scene. Holla, it's Wreckno. How's it going?
Hi. Oh my God, I just noticed you have a universal title or
Oh,
WWE
and we
championship
will
in the
get
back.
to the WWE. Don't worry, we'll save it for the tail end. Spare all the EDM fans, but trust me, I'm
Beautiful.
well aware, and we are going to talk about it. I'm glad you noticed it, though. There we go. A little Easter egg for everyone. How are you, Wreckno?
I'm good. Just having a good day at home, so I'm happy.
Love it. I mean, the touring schedule seems like it's been crazy, so I'm glad you're getting a little bit of downtime. I'd like to start here. About 5 months ago, 5, 6 months ago, sometime this year, you did a collab with Dev, famously a Far East movement. The song's called Everything. I wanted to bring something to your attention. I don't know if you're aware of this. There was a recent survey done by Wordfinder of about 1,000 Americans on the most misheard song lyrics. And I kind of just want to gauge your reaction on this. Apparently, 65% of Generation Xers surveyed, so that's like 1965 to 1980 kind of birth range,
Okay.
misheard the lyrics as "Now I'm feeling so fly like a cheese stick."
I have heard that.
Okay,
I say I'm feeling so fried like a cheese stick.
is this like commonplace? Like
I
I
think
saw this, I'm like, how could anyone possibly believe?
for me, I remember it being in high school and it was like a meme. Like it was like cheese stick. There's like a few others I feel, but I can't remember exactly what they were.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about you, Rekno. I interviewed Dead Mouse about a year ago, and I asked him, like, what's the intersect between Dead Mouse, the performer, and Joel Zimmerman, the musician? And he really basically told me, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Dead Mouse is Joel with a mask on his head. And I saw a really wonderful profile that DJ Mag did on you recently. I mean, shout out to the author. That was amazing. And they painted a moment. I think it was December 2021, where you were wearing this black skirt, black thigh highs, a little crop top, and getting off stage and just kind of having this like internal monologue of, "Oh my God, I actually feel like myself." Where is the intersect for you? Because you talk about sort of Lady Gaga being an inspiration for her performance art. For you, when you're on that stage, your aesthetic, is that just really a full extension of you as a person? Is it more of a performance piece? Like, where do you sort of draw the parallels between you as an artist and you as, a great person just getting the day to chill in their home?
I think so. How I always think about it too is a quote between amongst wrestlers is they say that your gimmick is just you turned up to 11. And really, I think that Wreckno has always been um, like it's me. It's just a huge part of me. I've always wanted to perform, always wanted to be having these moments where I'm able to express myself to an extreme. And I think it really just is. It's me, but I'm on stage giving a show, so it's turned up. You definitely sometimes have to put like a Recno face on if you're like maybe you want to be everywhere but at the club or whatever. But like I would say like when comes to on stage, it's just me doing what I love turned up to 11.
You're gonna have to watch out with all the WWE Easter
I
eggs because
know.
you're gonna completely. I'm getting so excited. You're gonna completely derail me from this
It's
interview.
like all I'm like it's so the biggest like if there it's music and then there's wrestling in my life. Like I love both, but wrestling I've since I got back into it in 2017, I have been like, okay, I'm stopping. I'm done. I'm done.
We'll say 5 minutes at the end of the interview. We'll just. I can't. Okay. In that same piece, you talked about sort of getting to sit down and getting to know GRiZ, and as you guys were sort of musing about the industry, you were saying how you kind of wanted to be like a gay white Lizzo, and he told you if you want to be that, you actually have to be that.
Yeah.
How much do you credit? How much do you think that that advice from GRiZ sort of expedited you sort of finding this true version of yourself as a performer?
I think it helped me as a person. I mean,
Mm,
obviously I don't feel that way every single day. I still am a human being and I have like
of course.
insecurities and flaws and everything. But I think that just that moment of him being like, okay, you want to be that, but he could see that I wasn't there mentally. Like he could see
Mm.
that I had the vision. I think it just really helped me as a person to kind of really like, I guess, just walk the walk and talk the talk, like rather than just like being like, oh, this is my vibe. Like really trying to take the time to like look at myself in the mirror and be like, you are beautiful, you deserve the world, versus like kind of just trying to portray online that that's the vibe. Um,
Mm.
it's definitely helped me a lot. I don't know, like it's there's. I think on stage it's helped a ton. Once I did start, expressing my gender identity too, like that was like um, it's like all that went hand in hand, and I felt like I was really actually able to start feeling myself in that way.
I know it's cliche, but since you sort of bring up the personal growth, what would you have told Wreckno, who was just starting out in the music industry, if you could sort of pass on a piece of advice?
Don't worry about what you don't know and that others people make you feel bad for. I also would probably tell you don't worry about not being a part of the boys club.
Mm.
Like, because I think for a while I was very much like feeling misunderstood because of the scene that I was coming up in. And I think now we're at a point where I'm like, you are going to be okay. The right people are going to find what the people that want to vibe with you. We're going to find you, and you're going to be all good. So
It's really interesting that you mentioned that. So, I am a big hip hop fan, and part of this sort of love of electronic music that's developed is through friends taking me to music festivals. I still love hip hop music, arguably at times more than I like electronic music. For me, the challenge is I hate going to hip hop concerts. I don't like, for me, my experiences, I don't enjoy the crowd. It's aggressive. It's violent at times. It's not super welcoming, at least here in Vancouver. That's kind of like a bad track record.
yeah,
I really appreciated going to a rave and just seeing how welcoming people were. I cannot sit on the floor to give my feet a break without like 15 people walking by asking me if I need water. I
yeah,
really enjoy it. For me, when I explain it to people who aren't in the scene, I describe it as this very open, welcoming, loving space. I don't know if that's always the exact reality of it. Could you share with me, like, what have some of your experiences been as it pertains to? We talk about PLUR so much. Is that always the case for you as a performer on your way up?
I would say I have so many great people in my life that would
Mm-hmm.
embody like it's not like we're all like Fleur like saying that out loud, but like I have great people that love and respect me, and I've surrounded myself with those people. But I've also, I mean, the first group of dudes that I went to shows with were like secretly super homophobic to me behind my back. So like I have had kind of a mixture where I've had people be I'm like in a great group of people now that I just trust and feel protected by, and then I think it's kind of like any scene. There is going to be shitheads. There's going to be people that don't respect you and are rude secretly behind your back or whatever. But with EDM in general, like the rave scene, I will say like just the vibe in a crowd. Like obviously you're gonna get some people who suck, but like yeah, it's a complete 180 from mainstream crowds. Not even just hip hop, like mainstream crowds. Because like I've gone to some mainstream festivals in the last year, and it's like woo! Like you go to like an electric forest where people paid so much money to be there, traveled
Mm-hmm.
from other countries to be there, and then you go to like say like I'm not even
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was about
but
to
like
interject there.
but
Let's
like
keep
if you
the
go
yeah.
to like a mainstream festival
I got you.
and then it's 18 up, half of these kids have never been to any festival.
Hmm.
It's a
Especially
lot of
post
those kind of
pandemic.
like right, yeah, post pandemic as well. It can become the kind of like sports jersey crowd, but not the like festival sports jersey crowd. More like the like just straight up like it can be rough. But that's why it really does make me appreciate the rave culture and that scene
Mm.
that I come from because most people are going to show so much that they're seasoned enough to deal with these crowd interactions. You really realize that when you're in a crowd of inexperienced festival goers that are just assholes, and you're like, oh wow, like where we came from is actually pretty great.
How much of a reflection is that sort of crowd unity environment that electronic music is sort of known for. How much is it reflected sort of behind the scenes of the industry? Is that same sort of camaraderie there?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think there's always competition,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody. I think if you don't want to be the best at what you're doing, you know, you can't. That's another wrestling thing. But it's like it's one of those things where I think naturally there can be competition, there can be miscommunications, there can be beef, but like mostly everybody, at least all the people that I interact with, are very great. Even people from other teams are super supportive and just want to see other people shine. Um, and I think it's really great. That is the section that I'm in. There's also the music industry in general is huge. There is a lot of not great people in it as well. So I've been very.
I really liked this sort of discovery I had that, from what I understand, as part of sort of, you want to book Wreckno, there's at least one thing you got to do. You got to pay appropriately. But you also have to put up signs that says this is a safe space. We
That's
do
true.
not tolerate racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, body shaming.
Yeah.
What sort of encouraged you to sort of be proactive in curating a safe space for the audience to come and see a Wreckno show?
Well, I guess I would just think of like the things I didn't see when I'm going to. I mean, they're mostly straight men's shows. Um, it was just like I think I spent a long time being from going from a teenager at Electric Forest to someone on a main stage or something, curating a vibe, and then getting to play headline shows and stuff. It was like, how can we just make it known to everybody around us that it's like, hey, we stand for the good and we won't deal with the bad. And it's just like a preface rather than having it, like I maybe someday in the future we'll like put it up on the screen or something like that. But it is like one of those things that is just like for me, if I was walking into that venue as a queer person or as a woman, it would be like probably something that helps me feel better, like at
Mm.
least about the environment I'm going into. Um, but yeah, I think it was just a way to make people feel safe.
As we begin to wrap up here, I want to take a second to shout out family. I've seen in other interviews you sort of describe what it was like, sort of learning about yourself and understanding how you identify living in a small town that perhaps wasn't always inhabited by the most open-minded people, but you always spoke very highly of your family, and of course concessions had to be made in terms of how you sort of work through how you presented yourself, but that, it was a loving family. You perform with your family. I've seen, you and your bro. Um, you've discussed how proud your parents are. What was it like having a family environment that was so supportive in a town that maybe wasn't?
It was honestly, I will say, it's probably one of the main reasons I ever felt confident in like, pursuing a career. If I wouldn't have had like my mom or my brother, my family members coming to talent shows, like it might not have felt like a. But thankfully, I always had those people around me that were like also like my mom, my brother, at least always singing or creating in their own ways too. So like
Mm-hmm.
having those immediately with me, it just fostered a creative bubble for us where it wasn't. It's not like we were always working on something, but it was still like you know, your versus like a whole family of people who maybe aren't, if you did want to write a song, they'd be like, that's weird, or something like that. Like it definitely, without a doubt, shaped me as a person because now that's just like an everyday.
Shout out to moms, always looking out for the baby. You
Yeah,
gotta. I love to hear that. Rekno, this has been so much fun. Thank you for being so open to talking about at times some difficult themes. And I actually had a conversation with a stand-up comedian, Joel Kim Booster, who worked on Big Mouth. I love
I
that
love
show.
Joel Kim Booster.
Shout out to Joel Kim Booster. And one of the things we mentioned was that just because sometimes celebrities go out of their way or are willing to talk about subject matter that might be difficult for them, they sometimes sort of get like this label of advocate sort of forced on them at all
Yeah,
times. And while Wreckno is out there fighting for inclusive spaces, Wreckno is more than just an advocate. So I want to get to know you a little bit better as a person. Gonna run you through some rapid fire, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Tell me about your high school talent show performances. What were you doing in these performances?
Um, Dancing to mixes that I made. Well, my brother, I would like tell him the songs that I wanted, and he would make the mix of them. But it was just literally like I remember one of the judges saying I reminded them of Napoleon Dynamite, and I wanted to die. But I was giving way more. I was just essentially dancing because I taught myself all of Lady Gaga choreography and was just kind of doing my thing while like doing like a mix of music that I liked at the time. It was mainly that.
We teased it a little bit repeatedly. Not as much as I would have liked, but I think as much as I had to. Give me your top five WWE superstars of all time. For
Oh,
you.
all
For
time.
you.
Lita. Um, right now, Dakota Kai. Love her. She's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey James always. Because Dakota and Mickey are so sweet to me online, and they're in my DJ Mag article. They're in the corner.
Oh,
And Lita is
whoa. I
actually.
gotta go check. I didn't see that.
They asked for like it was like a blurb. They're like my favorite like wrestlers, and I was
Mm,
like, I'm putting my girls on. Trish. These are all women.
that's okay.
And probably right now. Woo! My boyfriend's favorite is Charlotte, so I'll go.
Shout out to Charlotte Flair. I've talked about Charlotte and Trish, both wonderful people.
You could slap the shit out of me.
Yeah, shout out to my fellow Canadian too, Trish Stratus. You gotta give it. Okay, so I know you briefly had a job as a beauty technician, one that you'll admit you did not deserve or were qualified to have. What was the
I just
worst
wore a
complaint?
cardigan. I
What
just
was the?
wore a cardigan to the interview. That's the only reason I got it.
Oh, I mean, no offense. I feel like that speaks poorly of the hiring processes of the
Without a doubt.
manager. Yeah.
Without a
Uh,
doubt.
Before you got fired, or just before you got fired, what was the worst complaint you got as a beauty technician, if you remember?
It was when the girl went to the front when I was done and asked if the main worker would take everything off that I did and redo it.
Can I guess that you don't do your own nails now?
No, no, I
Okay.
still suck. It's like a 5-year-old's doing it.
You know, I mean, people, I'm sure went to like school to learn how to do this kind
Right,
of
I
stuff.
did
So,
not. They taught me in a week in a back room, and I should not have been doing it.
I don't know if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, but I
Oh
did
my
hear the
god.
Princess Katana name drop. I want to know who you're. Oh, look at that! Hey, Wreckno, you and I cut from the same cloth. Who is your main character when you play Mortal Kombat?
It's gotta be tie between like Katana. But Melina's probably my favorite.
Okay, can you name the three again? It cut out for a second.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Katana and Melina probably
Oh,
tie
nice.
between
Good.
those
Oh
two.
yeah, yin and yang.
Yeah,
Both beautiful in their own ways, you know.
absolutely. Dental work.
Yeah,
Girl.
dental work. I saw in the little documentary you had for your Electric Forest performance, a young Wreckno rocking the Mickey Mouse shirt. What is your most nostalgic Disney movie?
Fox in the Hound. Like that was one that I. It's just so sad,
Hmm.
but it also represents that we go out into the world and we don't stay close with our childhood friends. So I think that's probably my favorite.
I had a weird moment of like deja vu as an adult when I watched The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I was like, I watched this every day as a kid,
You
and for
just
some
like sit up a little bit straighter.
yeah, yeah, don't get me started on it. Shout out to my physiotherapist Kevin every week, every week. Last one, I would like your top five women in hip hop. You've spent enough time listening to the
We're doing
cookbook,
all
so
time, all time.
yes, but I want so okay. My
Current.
qualification for this is I want it to mean something to you. So I
Okay.
don't need it to be a subjective list of all-time greatest rappers. I want for you, your life, who's left an impression on you, your top
Yeah.
five.
Missy Elliott without a doubt. Um, Nicki Minaj obviously. But Roxanne Shante, she was like an OG. That when I first heard her flow back in the day, like I probably like I would have been 10. So maybe 2006, 2007. I remember just being like obsessed and it made me want to rap. Azealia Banks, just like her flow is amazing. She's my on. And then last, you're hit me with these fives, this five list. It's like always in the
I'm
fifth one.
lost.
I'm thinking,
I'm not gonna
lost.
hold it to you if you want to go. If you want to do some extra credit, that's fine by
Women
me.
in hip hop. I'm like, I she doesn't really count. I guess I would say right now, Megan Thee Stallion, just in general, when I just saw her cry on SNL, I like had a personal moment where I was like, she's real one.
Like she has lots of great lyrics, but I spend way too much of my life just going body yada 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 yada
Yeah,
yada yada.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
circling in my head at all times. I can't escape it. What a catchy tune. Wreckno, this has been so much fun. I want to leave you with the last words. I'm gonna do my part very, very quickly, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video. You know what you gotta do. Thumbs up, subscribe. Let us know what's your favorite Wreckno song. Would love to hear from you. Full feature on EDM.com with Wreckno in the bio of this video. Wreckno, if there's anything you want to let the people know, the EP, any upcoming concerts, just some words of encouragement, whatever it is, please let them know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I definitely am really excited. Next week I'm doing my Rock State video and I have direct support from friends. Colorado. I'm very stoked. We're excited to bring all the dancers back and have a good show. And yeah, just keep an eye out in the next year. We're going to have a lot more